Okay.
So welcome everybody. I am thrilled to be with you, and I am grateful that you selected a self-care session today. That makes me very happy. I know that the world that we're living in is very stressful right now, and I think all of us could use some self-care. I mean, we all needed self-care before the pandemic. We absolutely need self-care now while we're living in this pandemic and all of the other things that are happening in the world around us. So I'm grateful that you joined today. I hope that this next hour will provide you an opportunity to just be with yourself and catch your breath a little bit. If we were all together, I would, have you turn off electronics and really try to focus, and we'll kind of set some norms in just a second. I wanted to first just tell you who I am. So I'm Lauren Kazee, and I am a social worker. I have done some contract work with a bunch of people across the state. I have a contract with the Department of Education looking at social and emotional learning efforts out of Dr. Rice's office. And I also have a contract with Michigan Virtual working on social and emotional learning efforts. And I have a contract with DHHS working on 31N initiatives. And all of that is funneled through my Living Slow company, my LLC, excuse me. And I've been self-employed for many, many years and have really started to shift from, I'm still very focused on social emotional learning and SEL and student mental health, but I've also now really started to embrace and focus and prioritize adult SEL and adult self-care, educator self-care, because I know that in my work over the last 15 years in schools, we were doing a really bad job of paying attention to the teachers and educators' needs, and administrators, all of that, everybody in the building, all the adults in the building. We do a pretty good job thinking about kids and how they are managing their mental health, but we really have not done a good job. We've been very neglectful about focusing on the adults. And so that has been a passion of mine that I've been focused on, and that is how we got to life in the slow lane. So my business is called Living Slow, and SLOW is an acronym, and we'll go through that in our time together today. But I just wanted to give you a little bit of context about who I am and what I do, really to support educators and students in the state of Michigan around self-care and mental health and wellness and SEL. So welcome, and I hope you find this time to be beneficial. All right, so I'm going to set a few norms, and and again, if we were in person, this would be a little bit different because we'd be able to have some dialogue and talk about it. But I'm just going to make some executive decisions here since we're in this virtual setting, and just ask that hopefully you will subscribe to these norms. And the first one is a bit about Vegas, right? So we all know like what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. And that really is kind of translated to here into this session. And again, it's a little bit different. We're in virtual world. We're not able to interact as much, so it doesn't feel as vulnerable or as scary maybe. And we're not using the chat feature, so we're not going to maybe have as many interactions, but did want to just, establish that this is a safe place. And you'll see that I also have no judgment. So this is a no judgment zone where we can be free to think and feel the way that we want to and need to. You also see that we've got a bunch of people standing on each other and supporting one another. And again, if we were together, I would really encourage us to have a supportive environment. And I think, when you're back in your buildings, whatever that may look like, that we really are intentional about supporting one another in the work that we do on a daily basis, which can be pretty harried sometimes. I was married to a teacher for 25 years. Both of my parents were in education. My mom was a school counselor. My dad was a special ed teacher. I was a school social worker. So I know the stress and the demands are just never ending sometimes in these education settings. And then finally, we have this little creature. I think it's maybe a cat, maybe it's Anne's cat, who is leaning forward and really wide-eyed and wanting to just take it all in. And that's really what I'm hoping that you will be able to do today, is just lean into this and let your email go for an hour, let your phone silence for a little bit, and just focus on spending some time attending to yourself.
Hey,
So
Lauren, before
yes.
we move forward, I do want to let everyone know that we are recording this session and we are going to be posting it on our website for those who could not attend in person. So while people will not be individually identifiable, we are making this available on our website later so more people can participate. So I just want everyone to be aware of that.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
And on that note, since it's being recorded, I do want to say, as we get into things here, that all of this is intellectual property. It's proprietary, and I've copyrighted all of this because it is part of my LLC. So I'm happy to share and present and those kind of things. But I do want to just make that blanket statement that these materials have been copyrighted. So. All right. And here's really how all of this got started for me. And again, if we were in person, I would ask for a brave volunteer to read, but I'll just sit quietly and let you read it for yourself. So I think many times what I have found in my 100 years of working in education is that many of us in this field are caregivers. We want to support students and support one another, and we're willing to sacrifice to the nth degree to ensure that our students and our coworkers are doing well. And yet many times we neglect ourselves. And when I came across this quote several years ago, it really resonated with me because I had in my mind felt like if I took care of myself, that I was being selfish and that was wrong. And so I've had to really learn how to rethink about self care, reprioritize my self care. And it can feel a little weird. It can feel kind of awkward at times because you do feel a little selfish. But what I have come to believe is that if we don't care for ourselves, it's detrimental down the line. I recently attended a national, actually, I think it was international, teacher self-care conference in January. And one of the keynote speaker was talking about her health and how she nearly died because she had neglected her health so much as an educator, working long hours and just pushing herself that she ended up in the hospital for a long time and had all these health complications. And several other people in breakout sessions were talking about their need to take time off, medical leave from teaching. And I thought, man, we've got to prioritize ourselves. It shouldn't take somebody getting that sick or needing a medical leave or having these health issues to really start to prioritize your self-care. So that is my aim, to really think about and help us to prioritize and think about our self-care and our wellness. It really is an act of survival. Okay, so I'm going to ask you to just take about 30 seconds. I'm going to put my timer on my phone. And I'm going to ask you to just write down for 30 seconds all the things that are stressing you out. So if you could start, as I get my phone set up, I should have had this done while we were waiting. So that's that on me. Okay, ready, go. 30 seconds. Write down all the stressful things. Okay, time is up. Now, again, if we were in person, this would be a little bit different, but now I'm just trusting that you're doing it. And I'm going to ask you to take that piece of paper and either, maybe you typed it, I don't know, either rip it up or set it to the side, minimize it, delete it, whatever you need to do, because the hope is that we can take this time to take all of those stressors, put them in the back closet, in the back of our mind, on the back burner, and again, focus on you and the things that take care of you and that will help to fill you up. And so just putting all of those stressors to the side and allowing this time to be just about you and taking care of you. So again, I'm just trusting that that's what we're doing. All right, so here's my first practice for us around self-care, and it's called four square breathing. You may be familiar with it, you've maybe heard about it. I'm going to demonstrate it for you, and I'm going to ask that you participate with me after I show you how it's done. And again, just trusting that you're going along with me. If you want to take your camera off or your video, turn your camera on and show me and participate, that's great. I can see a few of you, but not everybody. So really the intention of this is to take a deep breath in for the count of 4. Thank you to some of you. I love you for participating with me. And then you hold it for the count of 4. Then you breathe it out for the count of 4, and then you hold it for the count of 4. So I'll show you. Okay, ready? Easy, 16 seconds. Okay, so I'm going to count, and I'm going to ask you to do that if you want to stand or wherever you're sitting, and just take in a deep breath to the count of 4, 2, 3, 4. Hold it. 2, 3, 4. Release. 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4. How are you feeling? Thumbs up. Is that good? Thank you. So, and we can do it again if you want, but that exercise makes a world of difference for me. I know that administrators and educators have 0 extra time, but I'm pretty confident that you all could find 16 seconds in your day to do 4 square breathing. So you may be only have an extra 16 seconds, but I'm sure that you can find it. I know many times, even between Zoom meetings, I'm doing some breathing. I may get up, kind of walk around a little bit, because I'm sure if any of you are like me, we are Zooming all day long. And it's very nice to be able to take a break, take in some breaths, regroup a little bit. So this is something that I have encouraged educators to do. I know teachers use it and have started to use it with students, especially if they're, coming in from a different class, or, coming in from gym class or lunch, to be able to just regroup and reset before education and learning starts, to do this 4 square breathing. So hopefully you found that helpful. And again, quick and easy, something that doesn't take a long time, is free, and can really make a difference. So thank you for joining me in that activity. So I'm going to get into slow. And if I was with all of you in person, I have little turtle stickers that I pass out. So maybe someday we can, see each other and I can give you a turtle sticker. It's funny how many teachers love to get these stickers. It's hysterical, but they'll put them on their phone or their computer, or you can put it in your car as a reminder. So when you're out and about, if you find a turtle, pick one up. I have them all around my house. I even have a turtle ring on right now. So I'm not going to be inappropriate, but you can see. So right there on my finger, it's just a good reminder to go slow. And so the reason I came to this, and I will share a little bit more about my story as we get through this presentation, but slow, I was, as a social worker, I was working at the Department of Ed on a grant, and I was, well, actually, I'll save all of that story and get into it later, but I went to see a friend of mine who is also a therapist, and we were talking about this day that I'd had at work, which I will share with you later. And as we were talking about the day, and I was so stressed out and so just, very like not, I was just out of sorts. And she said, you need the acronym FAST, FAST. And I was like, oh, tell me, what does the acronym stand for? And so she walked through each of the letters and explained, what FAST stood for. And it all made good sense to me. I was like, yeah, I love all of those different elements. So I left. I'm driving home from Lansing. It's about an hour and 15-minute drive for me. And I'm thinking of the acronym. And I started to get more and more anxious because I was thinking fast, right? And so I went to sleep. The next morning, I'm driving back to Lansing and I'm thinking of fast. And I could just feel I call it a spin, right? Like my internal spinning. And I just was like, oh my gosh, I cannot do this acronym because it is stressing me out. I'm already a pretty type A person and, pretty regimented and trying to get things done. And the more I thought about fast, the more uptight I got. And I was like, this is not helping me. So I decided to take the FAST acronym and turn it into slow. And that's where we are today. Is I took those letters and kind of transitioned them and came up with slow. And that helped me tremendously because as I was going through my day, I kept thinking, just go slow, Lauren, just go slow. And I started to share it with some of my colleagues around the state that I was working with. And then it just took off, right? People were like, let's go slow. Let's talk about slow. So I ran and copyrighted it really quick because I was like, man, I think I'm onto something here. So, and that is how Living Slow was born. Is I moved it from fast and decided to go slow. And so now we're going to go through what each of those letters mean and how that can help you to go slow, live in the slow lane, take some time for yourself, and really focus on your own well-being. The first letter is S in slow, obviously, and that stands for stick to your values. And again, if I was able to have some interaction with you and people, I don't know, I guess they can't unmute, but if we think about what are the things that you value, so maybe you can just jot down some of those things quickly for yourself. Like, what are some of the your beliefs? What are the things that you prioritize in your life?
Lauren, if some people want to participate, they can raise their hand and I can unmute them if you'd like,
Okay.
or
Yeah,
I can ask them to unmute.
okay.
if
So if somebody has something that they'd like to share, if they feel brave, since we're in this safe space of Las Vegas, if you feel brave enough to share, that would be awesome. I see a couple of hands. I love you guys for that.
Okay, I am going to ask Sarah to unmute.
Hi, it's Sarah. One of the things I think when I think of values, I think of my family and taking care of my children, my husband, my parents, extended family members. So
Yes, everybody always says family. So you are right on the money, Sarah. Yes, perfect. Thank you. Yes, family and your immediate family and your extended family. Absolutely. And especially now, right? We're all really, really sensitive about taking care of our family now. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing.
absolutely.
And I'll ask Danielle to unmute.
Hi. One thing that's really helped me is my faith. Doesn't matter if you meditate, pray, whatever. That's really something that's important that I'm trying to really tap into, that I got as a child, and I'm trying to really use that.
That's awesome. Yes. Any kind of, and it can be spiritual, whatever your faith is, but having some kind of belief in a higher power makes a big difference, that it's not just about you, but that there's something bigger moving on your behalf. So absolutely, I'm glad that you're finding that helps. And that can be a huge value belief system for a lot of people. So thank you for sharing that, Danielle.
Lauren, can you see who
Yes.
has, okay.
Sharon?
Sharon, so I'm going to ask you to unmute and see if you can do it yourself without me pushing the button to ask you to unmute.
Yes, I was able to.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mine was also faith. And along with that is quiet time, just literally trying to find some quiet time each day, which has been really challenging this last year. But that's another piece that I like to do.
Yeah.
Or value, I should say.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
So yeah, quiet time is important. And even again, if it's just a couple minutes, I know when my children are older now, but when they were younger, even in the last few years, if I was going to pick up a kid from practice and traffic worked out and I got there 2 minutes early, one of my self-care practices was, make sure the doors are locked, turn the radio off. I mean, I could scroll through my phone for 2 minutes and that's, one way to waste time. But what I would do is just sit with my head back and my eyes closed in silence. And sometimes I fell asleep, even just in a couple minutes. So yeah, I think there's ways that we can find those little moments and pockets of time where it's quiet to just focus on ourselves. I see Martin's hand up and then we'll keep moving after that. Martin, please.
Yeah, I made a little list myself, but I guess the things I'm thinking about I value is health. I had a little health scare a couple of years ago, but this particular time in our lives, a little bit more immobile. So like I really treasure the chance to go out and use a snow blower so I can be real active out there in the driveway and look at it and go, wow, look what I got done there. So having good health and staying active.
Yeah, that's a great point. Thank you, Martin, for sharing. I'm glad you're in a better place physically. And it does feel so good to be able to, like plow snow or something and to turn around and be like, oh, look at the sense of accomplishment. I love being able to do that. And I've got plenty of snow over here, so you are welcome to come over. My roof was actually leaking because of all this snow that was on top of my roof. And so I was like, but they came over and fixed it yesterday. Otherwise, I'd have had you come and help me, Martin. So thank you for everybody for sharing. I appreciate your bravery to be able to do that. And we'll have a couple more opportunities to share as we go. So get ready and consider thinking about putting yourself out there. So yeah, I mean, the things that you shared are exactly right. And the reason that sticking to your values is so important is that I think many times as administrators and educators, we can be put in situations that maybe go outside of our value system, which maybe it is like jeopardizing time with family, or maybe it is staying late in for a PTA meeting or some other, kind of thing happening at the building. And it can take away our time to get some exercise, or we maybe need to, again, think about what our values are so that we can prioritize them. There are going to be times that it's okay. Oh, here, let me do this. It's okay to say like, this is not okay for me tonight. I can't stay late because I need to see my kids, or I need to go see my parents, or I need to go take a walk, or I need to go snowblow. Or you know what, this is a time that I need to go and just be quiet and have some time with my faith system or my belief system. So I think my encouragement to you is to find the courage to be able to say what you need or what you want. And I think it can be hard or feel uncomfortable to put yourself first. But I promise you that when you do, people will start to recognize it and they will support it. I've noticed in the last 2 weeks, I work very, closely with a few folks at the Department of Ed. One's had some family issues, like her spouse has had surgery. Another one had their own medical needs. And to see everybody pull together to cover those two folks, it's, there's nobody's been complaining like, oh, so-and-so isn't here, or so-and-so had to go help their spouse. I mean, we really are like, okay, well, we have your back, because those are your values. Like, your family is important. You've got to take care of your family. And so I think just to believe that people want to support you as you are supporting yourself. So I just want to give you permission to be able to prioritize your values, to stick to them, and to have the courage to say what you want or what you need, and to be kind about it. There are times that I've had to say, this goes outside of my value system. I'm not okay to stay up late and work on this report for you. I can do it, over the weekend, or actually, no, I don't even want to encourage you to do that, but I can get it to you, next week, or here's what works for me, but that timeline isn't going to work for me. And to be honest and to be okay to speak your truth and to say what you need and what will work for you. So I'm going to give you a chance. And again, if we were in person, I would ask you to pair up. But since we're here in virtual world, you can decide if you want to raise your hand and unmute yourself to share. But I would like to ask you to just practice either quietly to yourself, or if you're brave enough to say it out loud, what's one thing that you need? Okay, Sarah?
I think one thing I've recognized that I need is help getting started. I know I need to do more exercise. I know I need to take more time, but that push to get those things started so that it becomes a practice and a habit has been very hard for me. I'm falling into the same groove, and I know it needs to be different, but just that push to get there is where I've really struggled.
Yeah, thank you for your vulnerability. I appreciate you sharing that. One thing that helps me, and I have this quote over my desk here at the house, is start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. And I think that helps so much, because sometimes it can feel overwhelming to take on a big something. And, especially as I'm helping districts to think about implementing social emotional learning across the district or in buildings, that can feel super hard for people. And what I say to them is, you just start where you are, use what you have, and do what you can. So even if it is, I'm just going to take, a 15-minute walk, or even just, do 10 minutes of this, it's just to start where you are and to know that, so I've been streaming. Planet Fitness has a free 20-minute free every day at 7 o'clock through the weekday exercises that you can stream online. And I actually love them because they're only 20 minutes. And I always feel like I can do 20 minutes. But what they say is your minutes are mighty. And I love that because he's like, even if you're just doing a couple minutes, those minutes of movement are mighty. And so just to encourage you to, again, value yourself enough to take care of what you need and to just start where you are. Baby steps. It's okay. And your minutes are mighty.
I like that.
Sarah,
I
yeah.
like that. Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else have anything that they felt like, oh, this is something that I need? And it feels a little awkward sometimes to say what I need because we're not usually in the habit of being forthright like that. So yeah, Sharon.
For me, it's just taking the time, setting aside time to plan, prepare, and cook healthy meals because I'm eating too much on the run. I'm running through a drive-through and I'm not taking that time to eat healthy, and then it's impacting me in other areas. I'm tired. I feel crummy. I'm not putting proper nutrition into my body, and I'm feeling that big difference. And it's just trying to find that time and kind of block it almost like an appointment, but always something else comes up and I feel like I need to take care of other people. So it's
don't do that anymore, Sharon. Take care of yourself. I'm giving you permission. So, okay, I see 2 more hands and then I need us to move because I just realized we've got 30 minutes left. I got a couple more slides to go through. So, all right, Carrie and Miss Gordon. So Carrie, why don't you go first? You're at the top of my screen.
Hi, this is Carrie. I just been diagnosed as diabetic about a year ago. And I am one of those people that likes to work all the time and try to be the mighty mom and working at home, trying to balance my life. And my kids are teenagers. One just graduated from high school during the pandemic. So we've had a lot of stress at home as well. But I did put this for myself. I sat down, talked to my family. I've sat down, talked to my doctor. And the biggest thing is he said in my family, you need sleep. Like I have to have at least 8 hours of sleep at night. So I've had to like really arrange things and saying, okay, mom's going to bed to read or whatever during this time. If you want to come sit with me and talk with me, that's fine. Because that's just something I need because I didn't know this, but your sugar can go crazy when you're stressed out and when you are lack of sleep.
Yeah. Yes, thank you for that. And you're exactly right. I think it's great that you are scheduling like this is mom's going to bed. And my kids know, like I turn into a pumpkin at 10 o'clock. So they know I'm done. Even like 9:30, 9:45, I'm winding it down, getting ready for bed, reading in bed, and then I'm out. And so, no, it's good. And I think the thing to help you remember, Carrie, is you're modeling for your children, right? We want our kids to be healthy. So we've got to show them how to do that. So I'm really proud of you. Keep up the good work. All right, Miss Gordon, and then we're going to get going.
I'm sorry, did you call my name? I didn't hear you.
Did, yes.
Oh, sorry, I missed that part. Apologize.
Okay.
For me, it's just as simple as breathing. I get caught up in busy, going, being stressed and realizing, okay, just sit, breathe, and go from there. And just take that time to, just relax, calm, breathe. Even that means counting down from 10 to 1 or something along those lines. That's what worked for me.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so now you can do the 4 square breathing. We gave you a new tool today. Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you.
So no, breath is important. Well, breath is essential to life, but yes, even to be able to connect with our breath. So thank you so much for sharing that. I appreciate you guys being vulnerable and open and talking about what the things are that you need and that's working for you. So keep up the good work. And we're moving on to L. So L means to love yourself first and then others, which is like, right? Because we never have been given permission to love ourselves first. Again, that feels selfish and can feel like, we need to be focused on everybody else. One of you shared, that you are quick to put your kids first or quick to put your family first instead of yourself. And I am here to tell you, Put yourself first, just like they say, in the airplane with the oxygen mask. I know none of us have been on a plane for a while, but to put that oxygen mask on first so that you are healthy enough to take care of those around you. And, you cannot pour from an empty cup. And I know all of us in our living and learning environments and where we work, everybody has needs, and especially the students that we're working with and their families. There's so many demands, and we are not going to be able to meet those needs or to fill those needs if we are empty ourselves. So again, putting yourself first, loving yourself, and so that you have the energy to give to other people. So you see this little quote from Lucille Ball where it says, love yourself first and everything else falls into place. So I want you to think about that. Here are some strategies and some ideas of ways that you can put yourself first, setting some boundaries. We talked a little bit about that. Yeah, I'm giving you permission to say no thank you to things. If people are like, oh, we need you to do this, or can you come here, or spend the weekend with us for this, or give your time here. It's okay to say no thank you. That doesn't work for me. And to remember that you've got a choice, or that there are going to be times maybe that you are feeling obligated to do something, but it's okay to set some time limits. The other thing that I want to mention is affirmations, right? So, and somebody was talking about this, I can't remember who, but to believe that, oh, maybe it was Sarah, for getting started on the healthy lifestyle, and to believe that you are worth it, like you matter enough that you deserve to be healthy. You deserve to take care of yourself physically. So the other tip that I have on here is asking, can I think about it? And because I am, practicing, prioritizing myself and practicing self-care, I have learned to ask if somebody says, Lauren, we need you to do blah, 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 or can you do da, 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 da. My default mode is, sure, let me do it. I want to help. I want to be involved. I want to take care. But now what I'm learning to do is say, can I think about it? Can I get back to you tomorrow? Can I sleep on it? Because I want to be able to, instead of just automatic pilot and jump in and say, yep, sure, I can take care of that for you. I want to sit with it and think about my values and think about my energy and think about my schedule. Do I have time to take on something else? And so I've started to just say, can I think about it? To just buy myself a little bit of time to check in with myself, to think, okay, can I really take on something else? And sometimes I have to come back and say, no, thank you. Thanks for thinking of me, but that's not going to work. Or other times I'm like, sure, that's great. I'd love to help you, but I can only do it from here to here. I can only give you from 3 to 4, or I can only give you, from until next week, or I can only do it next week. So to really think about what you are willing to take on when you're prioritizing. So again, I was going to have you practice. And I think I'm not going to, I wish we had the chat feature because I would have you write in the chat, but if you could just take a minute to write down what's one thing you love about yourself, right? Write yourself an affirmation. Okay, and if you're, maybe you can hold it up to the camera if you want, so you can share that way. But to think about your value and that you matter and that you're important, so that you do feel the motivation to prioritize yourself. That when things are hard and you're feeling like, I'm torn, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you doing that. So, that you hold on to, here's my value. And that gives you the incentive to be able to set up those boundaries, or to make those choices, or to say no, or to say, okay, but within this parameter. So think about the things that make you special and make you who you are, so that you can hold on to those as incentive to take care of yourself. All right. Built in a little stretch break, so you can stretch. Again, another cat. This is in honor of Anne. So if you feel like you need to stand up and move around for a second, I'm giving you that opportunity to stretch, so you're not just sitting in front of, being a zoomie, as we call zoomies. All right, and then here's the O in slow. And it is to only apologize once. And you're thinking, how is apologizing one time part of self-care? And so here is how we got to slow. So the story that I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, this is how all of this started. So I was at the Department of Ed working on a federal report that we had gotten to support students' mental health. And I had to turn in the final report. And as I was working on it, it was a Wednesday, and I had this sinking realization that I had forgotten to ask the budget analysis person to start to generate the final financial status report. So I was doing all the narrative, and she was supposed to do the financial, and I had forgotten to give her notice, like, okay, we're going to need this, Patty. And normally it takes a couple of weeks to get all of those numbers pulled together, and she had 2 days. So I sat at my computer, you guys, totally freaking out. Like, I cannot believe I forgot to do this. That's so not who I am. So I am like groveling. I'm crawling to Patty's desk, to her cube, to say, like, I'm so sorry I forgot to do this. And to her credit, she was nothing but gracious. And she was like, no problem. I'll run the numbers. I'll get things to you by Friday. You know, I got you. So kind of her. However, the rest of the day, you guys, I felt so bad about it that every time I crossed paths with Patty, and there were times that I even would go back into her cube and pop my head in, I was saying, I'm so sorry. Patty, I'm so sorry. Sorry, Patty. Patty, please forgive me. Patty, I can't believe I put you in this position the whole day, you guys, the whole day. Like, to the point where, I mean, again, if we were able to communicate with each other, you would be like, how annoying, Lauren. Yeah, so annoying. Like, I'm sure Patty was like, oh my gosh, get away from me. Like, stop apologizing. But I felt so bad. So when I went to my friend who was a therapist and I was telling her, she was like, you got to stop that. You apologize one time and leave it alone, right? Because think about all of the energy that I expended that day carrying that guilt, right? That I made a mistake, which was the first time I've ever made a mistake in my life. Just kidding. And I did not let it go. Like, I felt bad. I was beating myself up. I kept reminding her of my mistake. Like, the whole day the energy was sapped because I kept perseverating on this one thing instead of owning it, taking responsibility, and moving on and being productive with the rest of my day. So, Andretta, I see your hand up. Did you want to make a comment?
No, when you were talking about, I was like, yeah, it's just a reoccurring guilt trip.
Yes, right, right. So not only am I distracting Patty and being super annoying to her when she was gracious, I'm sapping all of my energy. Yes, totally a guilt trip. So I think many of us are wired to do this and we just don't realize it. And what I have started to notice is that I think it happens more stereotypically with women than men, that we are just so guilt ridden and we have this expectation to be perfect. And that when we make a mistake, we just go on and on about it. And so I want to encourage us to be more mindful, to be more intentional, to only apologize once, and to own it and let it go and to move on. It's okay. So here are some strategies. Here are some other things that you can do besides groveling incessantly and unnecessarily with people who you make a mistake with. So what I have started to do is think about the positive, right? So if somebody like Patty was, just okay with it, she was rolling with it, I could have just said, you know what, thank you so much for being gracious, right? That's much more positive than me continuing to say, I'm so sorry, right? Or there are times that I can say, oh, you know what, I made a mistake. I'm going to learn from this and move on, and then just let it go. So instead of, thinking about all, what your misstep was, to be able to own it and go on and to help others. And now, we were talking about modeling for our kids. Now my children will say, Mom, you've already said sorry. Don't say sorry again. So they'll call me out. And it's good because we are learning to just, again, not waste our energy on things that at the end of the day don't really matter. All right. So only apologize once, people. It's okay. All right. Then the final acronym, or the final letter in our acronym, is W. So stick to your values, love yourself first, only apologize once, And then this W is wait and watch. And what I know about this is that when we intend to do good in the world and to do right and to take care of other people, that including ourselves, that the universe works things out on our behalf. I have tested this theory numerous times. I wish I could say I have like some kind of research around it. I don't. I'm just telling you from my own experience, it works. There have been many times where I have felt so stressed out or anxious, and I get an email from somebody and I'm like, oh, I'm about to let them have it, give it right back. But if I just take a break and step back and give it time, that with time, things tend to work themselves out. And there are other times that, it just resolves itself. I don't have to get involved. Or even with time, it gives me a different perspective, or it allows me to check in. Do I have the energy? Is this my problem? Right? Sometimes I want to insert myself and it's like, you know what? This really doesn't have anything to do with you. Like let whoever's involved, like stay in your lane, Lauren. I did that yesterday. Somebody sent this group email and I was about to reply like, well, here's what I think. And I thought, you know what? This isn't to me. Nope. And I literally said to myself out loud, stay in your lane, Lauren. So I deleted the email and just let the other people handle it, because I didn't have to insert myself or involve myself. So here are some strategies when we think about waiting and watching, or watching and waiting, is to give yourself some time, right? So 48-hour rule. I don't know how many of you have gotten those emails, right? Where it just gets your blood boiling, or you're thinking, I gotta, take care of this right away. Sometimes just let it sit. Either that can help you to calm down so that you don't say things that you regret later, or it gives the other person a chance to just work it out. There have been times too that I've gotten those emails and I just pick up the phone. I'm like, you know what? This is what it sounds like is happening, but I think there's been some miscommunication. Can we talk it through? The thing that I love about this whole waiting and watching idea is that sometimes if we allow the situation to kind of sit on its own and we don't get involved, other people learn, right? So when you think about, even with my kids, if I'm always, doing their laundry for them, or helping them with homework all the time, or resolving a friendship issue, then they don't learn those lessons themselves. So if I just, step back and let things unfold, that whoever is involved, many times they learn their own lesson. That if we always are rescuing, or always involved, or always enabling, or always taking it on ourselves, then that jeopardizes their opportunity to learn and grow. And sometimes people have to learn the hard way, and it's okay, right? We've learned hard lessons and we're still here to tell about it, and we're probably better off and stronger because of it. Let other people have that same opportunity. Let them kind of figure things out for themselves, instead of always feeling like we have to take over or take charge and fix it. We don't always have to be the fixers. It's kind of nice. It's kind of freeing to just let people have their own life lesson. And the other thing is that many times I think, what's the worst thing that could happen? If I don't reply right away, or if I don't participate right away, is somebody going to lose their life? Probably not. Will somebody be upset? Maybe. And that's okay. That's okay. They can work that through. But I've got to take care of myself. So, again, just trying to take a breath, take a moment, kind of think about what really is, again, your value, your beliefs, your priorities, and putting those things first. And of course, we want to be responsive, we want to be responsible and do our jobs, but sometimes those self-made deadlines aren't necessarily actual deadlines, and we can negotiate and talk through some of those different things that can potentially be stressors for us. And actually, you know what? I want to go back because I just realized I have a couple minutes now. So one of the things that I've done, just an example, is I have a close friend who, we've known each other for half of our lives. Our kids were born around the same time, grew up together. They consider themselves cousins, even though they're not blood related. And she had her 50th birthday. I'm significantly younger than her. So anyway, she had her 50th a couple years ago, and her husband had set up a surprise birthday party for, a small group of friends. This is when we could all get together in person and celebrate things like that. Those were the good old days. And so I had been traveling that whole month. I think was home maybe 4 days that month. I was just like, I was in the UP, and I mean, I was all over for work. And he set up the birthday party on a Friday night at 5:00. Like, who does that on a Friday at 5? And I had just gotten back in town on Thursday, and I couldn't not go to her party, right? We've been friends for 100 years. And but I was thinking, I'm going to be so tired. I'm going to have to drive through traffic. They live 45 minutes from me, and it's going to take me forever to get there, blah, blah, blah. So I thought, okay, what is my self-care strategy? So I decided to say, sure, I'll come to the party, but I'm not going to get there until 6. I'm going to wait for traffic to die down, and I'm going to leave at 8:00. And so that's what I did. And I got there at 6:00. I was able to miss some of the traffic, walked in, happy birthday, here's your gift, let's have cake, this is great, love you, set an alarm on my phone, 8:00 it went off. I was like, gotta go. It's been great to see you, happy birthday. And I felt so guilty leaving that party and walking to my car. But then I got in the car and I was like, this is awesome. I just took care of myself. I just prioritized my own health. I still took care of an obligation, gave love to somebody who I love, tremendously, celebrated her milestone event in her life. But then I was home and in bed by 9:00. It was amazing. We're still friends. She wasn't upset. I made an effort to go and see her, but I also took care of myself. So thinking about ways that you can set those boundaries, take care of yourself while still making, making the decisions in your life that you need to make to also take care of other people. There is a way that you can do that.
Lauren,
Yes.
I do want to do a time check
Yep.
because we were supposed to end closer to 10.
Oh, I thought it was 10:15.
No, our new session starts at 10:15. We need to be able to give people
Oh,
a break. So I apologize.
sorry, I wrote down the wrong
Yeah.
time. Okay. Well, then this is good. All right. Well, then we can end. Thank you, Anne. I had no idea. I thought I had 10:15. I thought it was 9:15 to 10:15. Sorry, everybody. All right. So here
Maybe I'm
is,
wrong. Let me check.
you're double checking, you said? Okay. So while she's double checking, this is some information that if you have 2 minutes or 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 30, that you can pick, some different activities here that will help when you have space and time in your life. So again, it's just different increments of some ideas. I was going to have you maybe jot down some others, but we maybe don't have time for that. And then I was going to have you write down what's one commitment that you can do for yourself. So start thinking about how you can take care of yourself starting today. Yes, Anne.
Lauren, I'm going to apologize once and tell you that I was mistaken.
Well, because I know because I'm
We do
presenting.
have until 10:15.
Yes, I'm like, well, because I'm presenting again after this on the other thing, and I have 10:30 on here. So, okay,
Sorry.
that's okay. Whew. All right, everybody. So, thanks, Anne. All right, so I am going to go back and give you a couple minutes to look at this list and maybe just jot down a few things that stand out to you that you feel like you could do if you had 2 extra minutes or 5 or 10 or 30. What are some things that resonate with you? Or maybe you can write down something that isn't on this list that would work for you. Okay, and you'll get these slides, or the recording is going to be posted, so you'll have access to these. So if you, need a little bit more time. I like this slide just because, again, we may feel like, oh my gosh, I have no time. I'm busy. I'm running from one thing to another. But sometimes I think we miss those little moments, right? Like, oh, I got 2 minutes, or I've got 5 minutes. And again, like I said, there are times that I will set an alarm on my clock, my phone. And if I've got 5 minutes between a meeting or even 15 minutes between a meeting, I will set my alarm for 2 minutes and just sit and close my eyes. because sometimes I need a break. I'm sure you all feel that too. Like being on Zoom every day, all day is just, it's amazing how exhausting it can be. So I think just being mindful that though there are little pockets of time that you can capitalize on to take care of yourself. And, you know, and again, you can take a whole weekend if you want, but sometimes we maybe don't feel like we have the luxury of that. And so to be able to just look for those little opportunities as they present themselves. All right, so I want you guys to try it, test it, and see if that wait and watch works for you. I'm pretty confident that it will, but if you just give things an opportunity to kind of settle in among themselves, that things tend to resolve themselves. So try it and see. Just do a little experiment and see how it goes, and you can let me know. All right, so yes, if you could please just take a minute to write down what's something you plan to do to prioritize your self-care based on the things that we talked about today. Maybe it's one of the letters, you know, maybe it's I'm going to only apologize once, or maybe it's, you know, I'm going to stick to my values, or love myself first, or any of those things. Just write down one of your commitments that you'll start to do today to take care of you. Okay, this is our last activity. I am going to give us another 30 seconds, and you can, this is called Savasana. And Savasana is basically the dead man's pose for yoga. It's my favorite, one of my most favorite poses in yoga, the dead man's pose when you can just lay there on the ground. And you'll see this little dog is demonstrating for you. You may not be able to lay on the floor. Maybe you can, since most of you are probably at home, but you can do your dead man's pose in your chair if you want instead. And I provided a mantra at the bottom of the screen. It's Om Kleem Shreem. And what that mantra means is to give blessings to yourself and to the people around you. So what I'm going to ask you to do, and of course you're muted, so it probably wouldn't matter anyway, but I was going to ask you to quietly in your mind to yourself, say this mantra. If you feel comfortable, maybe you don't want to do the mantra and you have your own mantra, and that's fine. You're an adult, you can pick your mantra. You can do what you want. But I do have a list of them. If you're interested in those, I'm happy to send them to you. But I like this one just because it does bring blessings to yourself and to those around you. And so I'm going to set my timer again for 30 seconds. We're going to sit quietly. And if you could close your eyes, if you feel comfortable to do that. And again, if you want to do the dead man's pose on the ground, you're welcome to do that too. But if you could just say Om Kleem Shreem or whatever works for you to yourself in your mind for 30 seconds. I will watch the time and then we'll come back together and conclude. Okay, ready, go. Okay, 30 seconds is up. How are you guys doing? Hopefully you loved that. So it is, again, 30 seconds. We can find it. 16 seconds, 30 seconds, you can find the time. I'm so grateful that you all joined me today. I hope that this was helpful just to think about ways that you can integrate self-care through your busy day and to prioritize yourself. Here's all my contact information. So my Living Slow website is there. You can follow me on Twitter. I'm also on Facebook. If you want to follow me, I post on the 1st of every month a self-care blog for educators. So you will get notification of that if you follow me on Twitter. And I really hope that you prioritize yourself. Thank you again for being here. You deserve to put yourself first and hang in there. I know it's been quite a ride, but we need you and we need you to be healthy. So thank you for being with me, and I will turn things back over to Ann with 4 minutes to spare.
Oh, look at you. Awesome. Well, the first thing I want to say is that when I called Lauren and told her what we were doing with our half day of free PD for all educators, and that we really wanted to focus on SEL and self-care as one of our 4 focus areas, she did not hesitate to say, absolutely, yes, I would love to do this. So I just am so grateful for your partnership and for your time and your commitment to this super, super important issue. I know that at Michigan Virtual, my colleagues and I are always focused on taking care of educators and showing our appreciation. And I want to do the same for you, Lauren. So thank you very much. I also wanted to let everyone know that thank you for joining us, taking the time out of your schedule. I know that it's difficult. We are on break until 10:30, and the breakout sessions will begin sharply at 10:30. We're also tweeting throughout the day about all of our sessions. So if you are on Twitter and want to join that conversation, please do so with the hashtag TTT21. And hopefully I'll see you in the next session.